A vivid imagination indeed, Rapid Dog. Good to see you. Good to see everybody else who's filing in this morning. Sandra Saunders, Morgan Snow, Carlene Smith, Cordia, Susie Q. Good to see you all this morning. And welcome to the show. And it's been a slow week, but a busy one. My kids are all off in Disney World this morning. The older sisters, um, Abby and Bryn, took my three younger kids, Flynn, Rowan, and Ellery, to Disney World for the week. They left yesterday, and we just got pictures. They just arrived at Disney World's gates and entered within the last half an hour. So they're going to enjoy a fun-filled week down in Disney World. Sam, alas, did not get to go. He gets left out of some of these things, but he's not in school. He's not a school kid anymore. He's got a job and he's got to work, so he can't always get off to do that kind of stuff. So it's too bad he's not down there. That would have been fun too. One of these days, we'll get everybody back down there. And we were already talking about that. So that's the beginning of my day. I would have slept in with my wife, but I was up at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that when I finally got up. But got up and did some work, did some stuff that needed doing. And I think this week, however, it'll be nice to not have to drive kids to school every morning. So I'm up at, I wake up, I'm getting old. I wake up at 6 o'clock anyway, as it is, 4 o'clock most mornings. And then I'm up and trying to get everybody up and motivated and happy to go to school. Won't have to do that this week. And Rainy will get to sleep in a little bit till at least 8 o'clock. Yeah, sleeping in is what? Says Carlene. Exactly. Yeah, what's that? So, uh, um, I just saw Travis Thorpe sent me a message, but on something totally unrelated. And anyway, what's your morning like? How's your week been? It's been rather seasonably warm up here. Warm in quotation marks. It's not warm, but it's not cold and bitter cold, and we don't have a lot of snow. We didn't have any snow till yesterday after dark. We finally got a little bit of snow. I don't think it's even a half an inch on the ground. And then it's going to be in unseasonably warm all week, 30s and 40s. So that works for me. Hold off the terrible icy coldness of winter as long as possible. Now, of course, up here, we need the snow. We need an average snow to soak into the ground when it melts in the spring, so everything's watered and we don't have a drought in the summer. But I can live with a little dryness if we a little Mother Nature and fates, just a little dryness if it means we don't have to have all the snow and ice all winter long for 5 months out of the year. So usually this time of year we're already covered in snow, a blanket of snow for the winter, and January gets icy, downright damned frigid. That's where you get you can get up to your down to your 70 below zero wind chills up here, which we haven't had for a few years. It cycles around those really cold winters, and but January is your cold month. You enter into February, you get some of the same at the beginning. By the middle to the end of February, you're starting to feel like there's a thaw coming. March, they say in like a lion, out like a lamb. We've had it come in like a lion and exit like a panther. And we don't get warm until May, but we'll see how it goes. Winter up here, 4 to 5 months out of the year. Coffee. I started out this morning with a cup of, my wife gets that mushroomy coffee. And if it's not mushroom, it's something called mud. And it's supposed to be really good for you. It's supposed to It says where it doesn't have as much caffeine, it has, gives you clarity and it gives you energy and blah 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 blah. So I had a cup of that, and it did. It tasted like you were, sweetening mud in order to, and it's supposed to do stuff for your digestion, your stomach, your energy, your health, and all this mushroom stuff they're doing now, the psilocybin stuff. I don't know. Rainey could talk more to that than I could. Rainey, you'll have to come down and talk about mushrooms and mud. She's upstairs watching TV, having coffee. So she doesn't come on as often anymore, mostly because we're busy all the time. This is my commitment, and hers is I can come on sometimes. So we'll see if she makes it down today. This, though, however, is regular coffee. Now, oh, here, let me get rid of the banner. I've got that banner up there. Boom. There we go. Now it's real. Now it's us. I can put up, oh, what can I do? I can do this. I can throw up the Sunday banner at the bottom. There it is. How's that? That gives us a little color. And where's my, you don't know all the machinations I go through to make things look halfway decent on screen. So I put my big cushion on my chair, which elevates me a bit, and I can then tip that up just a little bit to show off. I like to have, I hate it when my camera is like this and you don't see what that picture is. You get a half a face. That's the drawing that my daughter did of Samwise Gamgees and Frodo. That's all pencil work that she did several years ago, maybe 8 years ago now. Got my favorite quote from the movie on it. So that's the gauge I use to find out what height to put my camera. My lights, I still haven't put up my studio lights like I should. Install them. I'll get to it one of these days. So, Sean Holt, Mushrooms and Mud. Sounds like the name of a hippie festival. It sure does. Mushrooms and Mud. How you doing, Sean? Good to see you. Who else wandered in? Randall Flagg is here. Morgan Snow is here. Matthew Sainsbury from Barbados. Captain Barbados is here. And other folks. I've said hello to, I think, almost everybody that's in here, at least showing their face, because there's a lot more actually watching than are in the chat room. So good morning. We had a slow week, busy week, whatever. If we had 2 shows we canceled this week, Wednesday and Friday, just because it got so busy around here. It was almost impossible to do a show and keep my sanity. And so, you know what, though? Professor Bauer picked up the slack by opening up his channel. If you like Professor Bauer, you like the things he has to talk about, he came in and he opened up his channel to talk. So those of you who were there, I hope you enjoyed what he had for you. At least on Friday. I think he did it impromptu on Wednesday and then planned it on Friday. So he's always fun to have around and listen to and talk to, and if you can get a word in. It's a joke. It's a joke. On to something a little serious about Ruben Fasthorse. Ruben is up and down, not doing real well. And I would like to get your take on something. Susie, his, I guess you'd say common law wife, his wife, we'll just refer to it as that. She also struggles with some neurological problems because she had a severe head injury years ago that is giving her problems now. And so she's constantly back and forth to the doc for that. Then Ruben had his head injury and probably a stroke is what it looks like, or else it's got the same kinds of symptoms as a stroke. And she said there are days where he's speaking full sentences, but not necessarily understanding what he's saying or putting it all together. She said he's hard to follow some days. Other days he doesn't speak at all. He recognizes her, can't say her name. He's had a little let up on his left side, or his right side, I think it is, where he's able to get some feeling. They are moving him from the hospital to a rehabilitation home. And the only problem they have is insurance is not covering a lot. Susie has had some money, and so has he, but they're running out. So I am going to put up a GoFundMe that would be an ongoing thing to go to Susie that will help with expenses, um, and help her, and help Ruben. Uh, so it's certainly not something that's going to pay all their bills, but it's going to be something that helps her because she can't drive right now. She said she can, but she gets rides because of this neurological problem she's having. And um, they've got a house to maintain, and so they're struggling right now. And Susie said, I asked her if she'd be all right if I put up a GoFundMe, and she said, I am beyond pride at this point. She said, so if you would like to, she said, I'd gladly receive it. So let's put that up, and I'll put several notices out when I do that, and I'll announce it on the show. Hopefully by tomorrow night's show of Intrepid Radio, I'll have that set up and ready to roll. And um, and we'll see what you all can do. All of those of you who love and appreciate Ruben, I've liked him on the show. If you've got something you can do to help them out right now, help Ruben, hopefully that will be a good thing. So, there is a power in prayer and a power in putting out that energy, if you will, with intention. But sometimes our intentions are best served by putting a couple of bucks behind them to help the people that are in need. And these are people in need, in true need. Ruben could use your help. He could use your prayers. But if you've got a few bucks that you can spare for him, that'll help him too, because they're in a bad spot. And of course, we all are. We're all in a tight spot. We're all in this economy. We're all in, things are tough all over. And we've all got our own kettle of shit and fish to fry. And so there's not a one of us that isn't feeling a pinch, unless you're independently wealthy. We're all feeling a pinch these days. So money's tough to come by. But I have always said, if you love somebody, and you love what they do, throwing the platitude of prayer out there is good. Even if I call it a platitude only if it's something you say. So, well, now I don't have to give any money to help them out because I'm going to pray for them. I say put your money where your mouth is. If you love somebody, if you support somebody, help them out. Ruben could use your help. Not supposed to be a guilt trip. It's supposed to be a reality check. If I don't give money online, tough shit. Throw that aside, set it aside, and put some money where it deserves to be put. This is not online. This is online might be the vehicle. This is for the person, and to help them out. So if you've got any love for Ruben, by tomorrow I'll have a GoFundMe page set up for him, and it'll be a way that you can help them out while they're struggling, while he's struggling. We have no idea of what's going to happen in the long term with him. And you can't keep a GoFundMe running forever, that people constantly footing things, but it's a shot in the arm for them. And Susie could sure use it, and so could Ruben. I put Susie first on that because she's the one that's having to take care of everything right now when she's not in the best of conditions to do it. So she has been named his next of kin which is good. There was some concern about that because they aren't married and because they haven't legally done the legal stuff with the common law. But she is listed as his next of kin, which is good. And I think maybe Ruben's relatives helped out with that when they were out. So there it is, our good friend Ruben. I hate to see him in this position. Um, I have had, we don't have a lot of extra money ourselves. We throw a few bucks here and there where we can. But I've had a very kind offer from somebody who said that they would um, fly me out to New York to visit Ruben. And so I may take them up on that if this, once we find out what's going on and how it's going to work. So there's that. So that's the serious stuff that I wanted you all to be aware of. So watch for that because by tomorrow, I will put up some kind of a site to help garner some funding to help out Ruben. And like I say, we all need help. It'd sure be nice to act the way toward Ruben the way we would want to be treated if it was us. So there it is. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm looking for one other thing here. I want to see if I even have this in here. I don't. It's somewhere. Oh wait, maybe. Nope. Nope. I don't. Um, another good friend of mine from the Minnesota Renaissance Festival just passed away. He and I, when you rank your friends or rate them, that's not what I'm trying to do. We knew each other really well. We were good friends, and I interacted with him a lot at the festival. But we weren't like buddy buddy, but we were friends, good friends. And he just passed away. He played a character for years out there. His street character was Nostradamus, and his name was Tom Belize, and or Bleezy, I think it's pronounced. And um, he played this kind of befuddling, odd. I was looking for a picture of him just now. Magician, street magician, and he had the long robes and the long beard and the all of this and the hat and the big feathers. I mean, big feathers, like 5 foot long feathers, and that would swoop up and he'd do goofy magic tricks and he'd hang with people and um, tell jokes, and he was great. Um, he was maybe, I want to say maybe 10 years older than me, but and he always he knew Rainey well. Always came in and commented, always making dirty old man remarks on pictures I'd post of Rainey, but dirty old man remarks because it's me and Rainey, because we're friends, and loved it, loved seeing him. And he had a stroke. I want to say a massive stroke from what I've read, and it was touch and go to see if he was even going to survive until, well, yesterday. I think it was yesterday morning he passed. And so it's just, you know, hey, Josh, thanks for being a new member, brother. Hey, folks, you don't have to pay money in here on YouTube to be a member. Come on in and join up and be a member. Josh just did that. And if you want to put anything in, there's ways you can join too. But come on in and be a member. At least hit the little join button down below the window. And so that's another one. We're getting to that age. There, there's something. My good friend Carr, who you know him because I've talked about him many times. He was my friend who was falsely accused of rape and did win after 4 years. Was exonerated, totally exonerated, and in court. And but he's a beautiful man with a beautiful mind, and he put up this quote yesterday. This was Thomas, his passing was rough on Carr, and because Carr knew him even better than I do, and didn't know him better. How would I say that? Uh, they were closer than I was with him here. This is he's got some pictures up of Tom playing Nostradamus, and I'll doctor those up quick. And these are pictures Carr took himself. Carr is a portrait photographer, amongst other things, a writer, and he put up a pretty nice quote here that I'm going to find. I'm going to read to you. I'm going to save this as a PDF so y'all can see what who I'm talking about here. And let's go Photoshop PDF. I'm going to save this and I'm going to put it in my pictures file so I can show you who I'm talking about this morning. And this is not somebody who's ever been on the show, um, but he is somebody who has been a part of my life in the past. And I've talked about the Renaissance Festival with great love and affection in the past. And so I bring this up just to say, and Carr acknowledges this. Carr's a year or so older than I am, and we all acknowledge this to a certain degree. You start getting to be people of our age, um, and you start to realize it more and more how your mortality is being worn on your sleeve to a certain degree because you become fully aware with especially with the friends that are constantly passing away. um I'm surrounded by, and I say this figuratively, surrounded by the ghosts of the people that I knew and loved. And the older you get, the more that happens, and that brings your mortality crashing in to your brain, your mind, your existence, and everything you do. This week I didn't feel very good this week, um, stomach and stuff like that, and I was really tired out this week. And I thought, man, what is going on with me? And then I see, all my friends around me that have got Uncle Dave, got Ruben, who is not passed but had a stroke. Tom, who had a stroke. Um, all of this stuff, you start looking at that and you say, wow, I don't feel good. Am I going to have a stroke too? That's where your brain goes. By the way, this is Tom. That was his character out on the street, Nostradamus, he called himself. And so he just passed yesterday. And which was just, it's a shock. I haven't seen him I saw him face to face at a friend of ours from the festival owns a big soda pop shop, a chain of them up here. They have the most variety of soda pop you'd ever want to have, and it's up here in the Minneapolis area. And um, he also owns a bunch of fireworks tents in June and July. They sell fireworks, and but uh, why did I bring him up? He knew Nostradamus as well. He knew Tom as well, and I don't know why I mentioned him. There was something pertinent about him, but um, we all are looking at the people around us who are starting to fall away, and we've had a lot over the years in our circles, and everybody does. I mean, you think of your own circles that you're in, your circles of your social circles, your friendships, your work, and where those two might overlap with each other. And we all have people who we lose. We all have family we lose and loved ones that are gone. Uh, Rapid Dog says, sometimes I sits and thinks, sometimes I just sit. Yeah, that's the truth. And So it comes crashing in. I keep saying rather tongue in cheek, I'll live until I'm 104. And yet I have weeks like this last week, and I go, why does everything hurt? Why am I so slow? Am I really in that bad of not just physical shape? I'm not talking about lifting weights or biking or cardio or all of that. I think overall, am I really not in good health? Yeah, I've had a heart surgery. I've had hip replacement, which is not life threatening, hip replacement. I've got the diabetes, and you got all these things going on, and you think, wow, I'll bet you Tom a week ago didn't know he was going to be dead in a week. He seemed healthy. He seemed like a guy getting older. The last I saw him. Oh, that's why I brought up my other friend Mark, who owns the soda pop shops. That's where I saw Tom last. Was at one of the grand openings of my friend's soda pop shop. Blue Sun Soda. You can look them up. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. You can just look up Blue Sun Soda in Minnesota, and you'll see my friend's company. And on Instagram, they do a bunch of videos. Just kind of fun, tongue-in-cheek videos for their show. But hey, Sarah. So all of that to say, you never know when it's going to happen. I sat and thought it with all my friends I've lost, it seems, in recent days. You think, did Uncle Dave know? Was he like, I'm going to be dead next week? Nobody really knows that, and unless you're sitting in a situation where you're diagnosed, you're going to be dead next week. Doc said, make your arrangements. Tom, he's getting older. It didn't seem outwardly to have a lot of physical or health problems, but now he's dead. And massive stroke. And what do you do to prevent that? If you go, wow, am I physically in a condition where I could have a massive stroke and drop over in a week? What do you do about it? Like if I was to ask that question of myself today, what do I do about that today? Could I drop over in a week of a stroke? Sure, maybe. Am I in the kind of physical shape that has set me up for that? Then I ask those questions. Why? Oh, here we've got Sarah. She might be able to answer some of this. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Scotty.
So, you look at all of this and you say, yeah, there are things I can do physically. There are things, but Tom didn't know a week ago he'd be dead today. Ruben didn't know he'd be in the condition he's in. Dave didn't know when he died. And Dave, relatively young. Dave would have been 60, by the way. Just over his birthday was a month after he died to the day. And would have been 60. I didn't even know Dave was that old. I thought he was 55. 55, 60. When you're 13, they'll look at you and they'll go, you're both old duffers. So they don't care. But when you're this age, you go, I'm only 55. Don't make me 60 yet. And so when does the end come? We don't know. And we don't know. I look at myself right now and say, yeah, I got a few physical problems, but I don't think I'm stroke or death material yet. I don't think I'm knocking on death's door. But this last week, I felt like it. Stomach. I felt that, and Sarah, maybe you know what this is. Maybe it's diabetic related. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something totally different. Maybe some of you experiences. That's why I talk about it. This week it seems like the last week and a half or so, I feel constantly like I am hard upper stomach bloated. And not bloated like whoop, 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 that kind of bloated, like blowing up an air mattress. It's like, it feels like rock hard, yet it's bloated. And I'm like, why am I like that? My digestive system is all rough and it's
Yeah.
all not
So,
working the way it's supposed to. The plumbing's not working.
yeah, that
Now,
sounds like a partial bowel obstruction.
yeah, and it's like, do I have that? I don't know. And so today it seems pretty good. But if I'll go have a piece of toast as something as minor, I'm thinking of something minor. I could eat a piece of toast and I suddenly feel rock hard bloated again.
Yeah, because it's along
And
with the stomach.
then my whole body is like sore. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's like you're like, have I been working out or something? No, not that way. And my joints hurt, and my legs don't want to work, and you're like half asleep, walking
You
around like
feel
you're half asleep,
sluggish. You feel
sluggish. There
yeah.
you go.
Yeah, so that sounds like something's going on in the intestinal system. So
That's what I thought, and so I thought that's why I drank that mud that Rainy has today, the mushroomy stuff. It's supposed to help, with stomach issues and stuff like that. And so I tried that out this morning.
well, I mean, do you have any laxatives? You may just want to try,
I can try that.
Miralax or something
I can
high
do that. I've
fiber.
thought about that. And of course, I'm of the mind, and maybe most people are, of it's not denying my age. I think I acknowledge my age pretty well on here. But I think on a practical level, day to day, I don't think about it. I know I'm 63. I know I'm aging. I know my friends around me are aging. That's a good gauge. Hey, how come all my friends look like old people?
No, but I mean, you can't
And
compare the two. And even, with the bodies breaking down, not all of it is age related. So, I mean, it's like you were talking earlier about people suddenly dying.
yeah,
I mean, I've seen people who have just dropped dead in their late 30s
right.
or, right,
Oh, I had another good friend from the festival. Um, a few years ago, um, good looking, sturdy man. I don't think he was 50 yet, or had just turned 50. And this is in the last like 6, 7 years, something like that. But he um, just dropped over dead, massive heart attack. But you look at him, he's a good looking dude. He had all the color of his full head of hair. He was
right.
very successful in business. He was a businessman. He played a great character he played Petruchio out at Think of Romeo and
Taming of
Juliet.
the
He was
Shrew. Yeah.
Petruchio, I'm sorry, not Romeo and Juliet. Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah.
And Petruchio, and he had this bright yellow, kind of quilted looking coat that he would wear, and the hats and the feathers and the swords, and he was a swordsman, and a very cool character. And he was one of the first guys, by the way, when I was illustrating and writing the Rollicking Adventures of Tam O'Hare back in the early 90s. No, not early 90s. It would have been, I started writing that in 98. So it was right around 98 to 2000, in that range. He saw some of the art I had done, and he was one of the first guys that really found it appealing and really encouraged me, and was going to do whatever he could to help me push that forward. And he was one of the first. I just remember him as being so encouraging to me personally for months as I was putting that thing together. And but he dropped over dead, and everybody was like, "Chris died? Like, what the hell?" It wasn't cancer. It wasn't the things you normally expect younger people to die of.
Right. And it just goes to show that, at the end of the day, we don't know what's going on inside of
Right.
somebody,
And
right?
he seemed like somebody that wouldn't die of a heart attack. I mean,
Mhm.
I hate to say it that way, but you look at certain people and you go, okay, that short, fat guy who doesn't eat well, maybe he's good looking, he has a great family, a great attitude and all that, but you can tell he doesn't exercise, he's way overweight, doesn't eat well, stressed a lot at work. You think, there's the heart attack puppy. You look at a guy like Chris, who was in relatively good shape, good looking, had a great job, making good money, um, fun to be around, an entertainer on top of it, drops over of a heart attack and dies. And it's like, what the hell? So all of this to say, mortality comes screaming at the door, and you never know when it's going to happen. Like for me, I have a week like this last week where stomach doesn't feel good, sluggish, and you go, "Am I dying?" You know, do I need to go see my doc and find out, am I dying? Is there something wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? Why does my stomach feel that way? Why did blah 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 blah?
Well, I mean, with you, I mean, and it may be, too far in, but I mean, you would depend on your how you feel before and after. Like, say, if you have a bowel movement and the type of bowel that you're
Yeah,
releasing, whether it's loose or hard or
yeah,
whatever. But for now, I mean, I would just suggest, and I'm not medical professional, everything, so
right,
disclaimer.
right.
But
I
try to do some uh take a laxative or high fiber, and try to see if you can push it through.
yeah.
And then today's Sunday, and then if it still hasn't gone in a couple days, go see the doc and see what they.
I thought if I ate a bag of Twizzlers, that would help.
No.
So,
No, because
so
and try to I guess for now, try to do clear liquids, you know nothing too solid. Try soft food and see if that makes a difference for now, because it's a matter of big hard things putting rocks through the system, right? I mean,
right,
if you're
right.
not
And who likes to talk about pooping and their poop habits? But I will tell you, it's backed me up a bit, and I'm
yeah.
like, why is this doing this? And do you know that feeling you get? Anybody, not you specifically, Sarah. Does anybody ever had this? And I've had it before. You walk around feeling like I could poop my pants any minute if I don't make it to a bathroom, but it takes you 3 days to do it,
Right. Yeah,
and it's
and
like, what the hell?
that's common. But the thing is,
Is that just
those
growing
types
old?
of conversation, it may feel awkward to have with regular people, but it's the
Hmm.
conversation that you're supposed to have with your doctor. They need to know this
Right.
information. As far as, it's, doctors, they have to, I mean, doctors, most of the time, they don't know what's going on in the body system anyway. That's why they run labs. That's why they do scans. It's to try to figure it out, right? So the more information you give them, the better off, and more things they can, rule out as far as diagnosis to get you better and fixed. So,
By the way, Randall Flag, Rainey got one of those for every one of our bathrooms. We've got one of those. You're talking about the little stools that kind of wrap around the bottom of the toilet and you put your feet up on it so you're sitting in that right position. You look like, I always get a picture in my head of some, I don't know, third world person, some tribal giving birth, kind of sitting back a little bit with their knees way up, giving birth that way. That's what those, if that's what you're talking about, that's what those squatty potties do. It's supposed to put your body in the right position. Apparently, the worst way to take a dump or lay some log or drop some pipe is sitting with your feet flat on the floor and your elbows on your knees, reading or looking at your phone while you're trying to squeeze out a loaf. That's probably the worst position. So, cabbage will set you free, said Rapid Dog. Yeah, pinch a loaf, said Randall Flag. There it is.
but I
So,
mean, and to bring up, another point in that you were talking earlier about the unknowingness of when somebody's going to go. I mean, for
yeah.
me especially, because people. I mean, it's almost like I'm Angela Lansbury, Murder She Wrote. Everywhere I go, somebody's dying.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you know, but
Who are you really? Everybody dies around you.
yeah, but I mean, but this, at least for me, and that may be just me, or it may apply to you. That's where one of those areas where I allow faith to come in
Yeah,
that we may not know when we're supposed to die and everything, but
right.
God knows, somebody knows,
Yeah,
you know and we may try to rationalize to say it's all a part of God's plan, or this, that, and the other, which some people need to believe in that to function. I mean, I'm maybe halfway there, but
Uh,
different degrees.
I am so torn on that topic because there's one minute I could believe with my whole heart on something, and it grips me. There's another minute where I'm like, on the other side, it's like it makes no sense to me that's
Yeah. Well,
um,
and that's what that's often the thing with faith. Faith and rationality, they're not opposed to each other, but I mean,
they're
it's
different
just
sides of the
having to
coin.
believe. I mean, you have to, in some ways, believe in the absurd, right? I mean, you just let it go. It's
Yeah,
like, it's just
Matthew Saintbury, you're right. Twizzlers are candy. I got these the other day. Oh, I was out and about, and I had a dramatic low blood sugar. And I happened to be at the little shop where Rainey works, and I said, I just grabbed these. I said, I need some Twizzlers. I actually had probably the worst low I have ever felt
how
with my
low was
blood
it?
sugar. I don't know because my meter
Oh, the
had
meter
died.
didn't. So
It
that was like
died.
maybe 30.
It died the morning before, and I pulled it off, and the new ones haven't arrived yet. So
Oh,
I ran out. It's on a schedule, but
yeah.
three of them, I get a 2 month supply of those.
Hmm.
Three of them pooped out on me. So I'm still a few weeks away from getting. I'm going to call on
Do you
Monday.
have yeah? Do you have the freestyle?
The Libra, yeah.
Yeah.
Where
So
all I got to do is touch my phone to it, and it
no, but for the
picks it
sensors,
up.
if they're not working, there's a number on. I don't know if it's on the box or not, but there's a number you can call. I have the number. I'll have to send it to you.
I'll have to do that. It's
But they'll
probably
send
on
you
my
they'll send you
stuff.
free replacements. So
Oh,
then
that's nice.
yeah.
Because right now they aren't even shipping until the 22nd of this month.
No, but I had to do that a couple times and it came pretty quick.
Oh,
So
well, I'm going to
so
call them on Monday and see the number because it's not through my regular insurance or pharmacy. It
yeah.
comes through an outside outfit,
Yeah.
and they email me every time I need. Are you
Right.
ready for your refill? Yes. Ships on the 22nd.
That's the direct mail order. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
But
was
I mean,
Saturday. I got that
yeah,
email.
no,
So,
you have to call Abbott directly, and
yeah,
they'll do that for you.
I'm going to see if they
Their
can
system is
rush
pretty good.
that one out.
But when you call, make sure you have your well, I guess it's your phone, because they'll want the error codes and everything on there.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Error codes.
yeah. It's all it's all stored in the software.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It
Yeah.
tracks you. And by the way, for those of you diabetic in the know, my about 6 months ago, my A1C was like 11.3, which is high.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's considered uncontrolled.
then a couple of months later, they took it again because I was in the middle of a regular checkup, and it was a 10 point something. And then they took it at a different facility, I went especially for the diabetic meeting, and it was like 8.4. And then just 2 weeks ago, I was in for something, and my doc said, let's do an A1C while we're drawing blood for all this other crap. And it was 7.7.
Wow, that's great.
So that's pretty good. I have a feeling it's going to be up in the eights again. I just have you get that feeling. It's like, am I maintaining right? But I want to get that down into the below 7 if I can. So it's been pretty good, and that's been improving. Is all I'm saying. But
so that
then
means your average sugar throughout the day, throughout the night, because usually an A1C is like an average over the past 3 months.
Right.
So
And it's been dropping over the last 6 months.
yeah.
So,
But I mean,
Morgan?
that also means, you started exercising more.
Yep.
You changed your diet some. It made a huge difference. So that's great. It's proof positive that what you're doing is working.
My daughter just asked me yesterday. Abby flew up here from North Carolina, where they live and run their business, and she flew up to get the kids and fly with them to Disney World yesterday, and to Florida yesterday, and so because they were just taking the kids, and so she flew up, and I've got that big Nordic track out there that they got me. Which is all set up and we use, and the kids Flynn likes to get on it and even run. and it's got someone with a computer screen, and you can go anywhere in the world, and you can use trainers and all that, and they've got all these courses laid out. Pretty cool piece of equipment. They bought that for me a couple of years ago, and now yesterday, Abby said, I still use mine. She said, but I use this. She called it some kind of bike station.
Oh, that's that Peloton.
Yeah, that's it.
Peloton.
That was the word she used. And she said, do you want one of those? Would you use it? I go, of course. Because I was looking at bikes. I want to start biking again. But now winter's coming. So, and she said, do you want one of those? We'll get you one of those. I'm like, cool. It's nice having daughters who do that kind of stuff. So you take my kids to Disney World, your brother and sisters, and you buy dad a workout bike. That's kind of nice. So
well, that's very kind of them.
So that's kind of nice. Just talking about exercising.
Well, that also, I mean, the extra bonus is now that the kid's out of the house, you and Rainy get a break.
Yes, that's the thing. Like the big joke is, what are you going to do while your kid's out? Well, we're going to have sex everywhere in the house. I don't think that's going to happen, folks. I think there's going to be a lot of sleeping in. Like last night, we got home from the kids, the girls. Well, Ellie had a cheerleading competition to go to yesterday. We had to go an hour away from here in Minnesota, one of the big high schools out there. All the cheers, and Abby, my daughter, came and she flew in so she could the night before, so she could go to that, and then they left from there to the airport. And so we're at the big cheer thing yesterday, and Rainey said, "You know what I'm doing when I get home?" She said, "We're stripping down to pajamas, gonna sit on the sofas with all the big pillows and the blankets, and turn on whatever show I want to turn on, without some kid going, I don't want to watch that. Oh, that one scares me, or that's me." She's like, "I'm just gonna watch whatever I want." And I'm going to eat the rest of my dinner, and I'm going to have no kids. That's what we did last night. Till about 11 o'clock last night. It's like, we're tired of watching TV and not being interrupted now. Let's go to bed. So, what are we going to do while the kids are gone? Sleep in more and clean. So we got 6 days to do that now before those kids make it back. Hey, Rapid Dog, he's right. The exercise bike makes a nice clothes rack also. That's what happened the Nordic track down here. The computer unit stopped working. And so it sat, before I checked it out, it sat for several weeks, and I didn't use it. And guess what it became? The track itself, it tilts up to store. But you tilt the track down, the track's flat, it's full of boxes and Tupperware tubs and towels and clothes hanging on it. And so I finally got it fixed, got the new one in there, and now it's in working order again, and cleaned everything off of there. But you're right. That's what workout bikes work for. Unless you use them, they're great coat racks. So when your workout equipment are housing clothes, you're not working out. So, hey, Lalanya, good morning to you. So anyway, yeah, back to the main topic, Sarah. This whole thing, it goes from a physical, taking care of yourself question to almost a philosophical or a spiritual one.
Well, I mean, mind, body, and spirit. I mean, of course, you're going to be able to sense where all three are interrelated. So, I mean, if there's an imbalance in one area or two areas or three areas, you're going to feel it. So,
and then there are those people too who are the model of health. My dad ran for miles. My friend told me, this is real. He ran for miles every day, did marathons. He was in great health, great shape, the greatest shape of his life. And he dropped over dead from something with his heart. And they found out he had some congenital heart thing that he never knew he had. And it killed him. Boom.
Yeah.
I don't understand the specifics of it, but that's basically what happened. He just fell over dead one day.
Yeah.
And then you got guys that are in horrible shape, and they lived to their 90s. And you go, how did he make it to his 90s in the shape he's in, eating corned beef and cabbage for dinner all the time, and drinking and smoking, and guys smoking at 98 years old. Yeah, I smoke every day for the last 67 years. And it's like, I think some of that's genetics. The genetics take over there. But um, you know,
Yeah.
there it is.
One of the guys I know, he's actually an air conditioner installer. He's in his 90s, and he's still still out working. And basically lived on pork chops and Diet Coke.
There
And
it is. Pork chops and Diet Coke.
so,
There's a
so I
diet.
mean, genetics, it's all over the place, and it feels in some ways, unfair.
Yeah,
know,
it does.
because if you think about, if you eat healthy, and there's an old, I guess, a Golden Girls joke where, Dorothy was talking about a friend who had just died because she went to Rome and a gargoyle fell on her head, and the last meal that she had was a watercress salad. From trying to live
Nice.
healthy rather than
What a waste.
rather than have chocolate cake, or
What a waste.
But if you're gonna and there's some who have the attitude, if you're gonna die, you have to enjoy life while you can, which that's the other extreme.
That quote I was looking up was from Louise Erdrich. And my friend Carr put this up yesterday because our friend Tom died. And it says, life will break you. Nobody can protect you from that. And being alone won't either, for solitude will also break you with its yearning. You have to love. You have to feel. It's the reason you're here on earth. You have to risk your heart. You are here to be swallowed up. And when it happens that you are broken or betrayed or left or hurt or death brushes too near, let yourself sit by an apple tree and listen to the apples falling all around you in heaps, wasting their sweetness. Tell yourself that you tasted as many as you could. So, and that's the way it seems some days.
Well, I mean, I think it also lends to have an appreciation for life, because everybody's going to experience death, whether it's a death of a loved one, death of a friend, and death is always, traumatic event. Death is a traumatic event. Somebody's in your life and then they're not. Everybody's going to eventually experience that trauma, whether it's a parent or, somebody you knew, and all that stuff. So we just have to kind of, educate ourselves and mentally prepare for it, which in some ways, even, with the amount of death that I come to face, it still takes you aback, as much as you're desensitized to it, it still has an effect, it's, as far as I'm sure people who are in the military could relate to that.
Yeah, they could. But there's something I wish I could play this for you. I don't know for everybody. I wish I could play it for you. But something my friend Carr wrote for Tom, and I have not heard it yet, but I can tell you what, I know that this is probably very profound because Carr is a writer. He's a he does voiceover, so he voiced over this. He wrote this. He said, "I wrote this as a journal entry. Music is always playing through my head, so I can't help but write when a piece of music is playing, most often a random selection. And I'm feeling so emotionally raw, stunned by the situation my friend is in. This is mostly unedited and messy, and I don't care. It's just a few thoughts and not nearly enough." And he wrote this about Tom. And it's over on... I wish I could play it for you today. I don't know how to get this into my broadcast at the moment. I don't think I can just copy the link and get to a place where I can actually like has been copied. I'm gonna see if there's any way I can play this for you while we're talking here.
Yeah. Well, if you can't, you just have to play with it, and we can play it on Monday.
Yeah, I might be able to do that.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to present it's a video. If I do it as a video file, I don't know. Nope, I'd have to download it to do that. And so, or I could add it to. Hey, you know what? There is music. I can see if I can add it, but I think it might have to be on my add music. Drag and drop music to upload. Maybe not. I can maybe figure it out for tomorrow night. But because all I've got is a link.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it'll let me do it by that. Nope. Yeah, I have to download it. So anyway, and not to be morbid about death today or anything like that, but I know that we all face it. We all see this stuff every day. We all have to deal with it to a certain extent every day, and and there's none of us that knows when it's going to happen to us. So we're all and that's really where I was at with this, and why
People tend to think about it more, especially this time of the year. We're in the middle of winter, things are ending, year is ending.
Yes.
Think about that sort of stuff a little
And
bit more.
we're all so confident that we're going to be around. Maybe we all admit to, yeah, I know someday I'm going to die. I know it's coming. It's down the road, and it's blah blah blah. But do we really live? Like right now, we've talked about this before on this show. Do I have a will? No, because I've never thought of putting one together before. Oh no, I take that back. I've thought of it, but I've never put my head to seriously engaging in doing that.
You really need to. I mean, I'm much younger than you, and I already have one in place.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Yeah. And I should have one in place. But I don't. And so it's like one of those things that why do I not have one in place? Because you never really think, well, I'm going to die. And I'm going to die soon, or I'm going to die sometime in the near future, or sometime, and I'm not going to be prepared for anything. If I don't.
Yeah, but the thing is, with other assets or things you have, it's for the protection of your family too.
Right, exactly.
And I'm sure with your stuff, it would be even more complicated. So
yeah,
you're gonna have to sift through all that, and without any instruction, everything
in
is
these two little rooms right here, I can't imagine what my family would have to go through sifting through my stuff. What's on my computer? Because I will say this, whether you think of it this way or not, there's a lot of my artwork that's actually viable property. And I don't know if it's ever going to be worth anything. If it's worth anything at all now, it'll be worth more when I die. But having my kids sift through all this stuff with Raini, assuming I die first, which I probably will, the stuff they would have to go through and things they'd have to go through, just and not even who physically gets what, but like I say, my computer files. I have 50 terabytes of information on disks, and between my computer and my disks and all of that, it's got all my writings, all my uh, stuff you could consider journals but wasn't officially journaling. It's got all my articles, all my books, my partial books, partial pieces of art, everything that's digitized. Somebody who's sifting through all that would take them a year. And so trying to prep people for that.
But I mean, even so, you would want somebody who understood your work. If it
Right.
was just somebody random, they just, pull it all in a box or a file and,
Right.
do whatever with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the emotional energy, all the, the physical energy, emotional energy, it's not I mean, if you don't have the right hands working on it, then all that's just going to be lost.
Yeah, exactly. So
We'll just take all the swords in the back and put them in a pile.
right.
When
Right.
each sword has its own significance and memories
Right.
attached.
And who do you name as your executor? You want to make sure, Rainey will be my executor, obviously. If she's still around, you got to name your secondary executor in case she can't do it. My kids would be good at that, but you look at all that stuff and you say, am I prepared for that? Have I prepared? How about any of you out there? Have you prepared yourselves for that inevitability? Lalanya says, I think I have come to peace with death. It's the betrayal of the living that breaks my heart the most. There you go. Steph says, sorry, wasn't ignoring. I'm actually restraining myself as to not dishing out throat punches. I don't know what I missed, but not giving out throat punches. Hold back, Steph. Don't kill anybody today. So, I think this is probably in response to the quote I read. Rapid Dog says, the deer will eat the apples had fallen, and then you'll eat the deer. So there it is. The antelope, we eat the antelope turned to grass, and the antelope eat, blah, 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 from Mufasa.
Yeah, there's that joke or meme on Facebook about cowboys getting cowboys to eat their vegetables. They said, "Oh, we feed it to the cows, and then we eat the cows, so that's how we get our vegetables." There you go.
There's some kind of weird justification in there.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, has the end of the year made you kind of reflective of the year in total?
Have I worked on anything reflective?
Well, I mean, when you look back at this year and compare it to the year before, because I mean, we thought 2023 was bad and was bad enough, and then here comes 2023. So,
well, we hear that. I've heard that every year. It seems of my adult life. Whew, this last year was the worst. Next year's got to be better.
Right.
And every year we say the same thing. And 2023 was rough. It was not unbearable, but it was rough. It's of course it's been bearable. We're all still here. Well, those of us that are here are still here. So 2023, the only way 2023 could have been better for me smacks of materialism, smacks of the things that are the not as important things in life. We could have had a little more money coming in the door. That's nice. It's always nice to have a little more money coming in the door. You give of yourself, you put yourself out, you work. Even my work, which I've had more people, it seems, in recent days asking me, why aren't you a millionaire? Because they look at the stuff I do, and I don't mean this to sound like I'm patting myself on the back, folks. They look at my work and they say, wow, you do good work, you're talented, etc., blah, 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 blah. Why aren't you making the big money? Well, I never got the big money jobs. Why aren't I famous with my art? Stuff like that. That's the stuff I do to make money. And I'm still basically, for all the work I've been doing for 40 years, I'm still at starving artist status some months. You go out there and you do all this work. And you got even people that know you're worth it. You get lined up as just another artist. I can get another artist to do that cheaper, And you take the job because you need the money, you need the income. You can't. I'm not in that position in life, which I wanted to be by the time I was this age, to be able to say, well, that's what it costs for me to do this for you. If you need to get somebody else, then you go ahead. I'm kind of that way with a project right now that a good friend of mine brought me into as their PR guy. And he's really pushing me on a project with somebody, and they love my work. But one of the partners is like, well, we gotta. I got somebody else who gonna, and we should find somebody. Can he do it for cheaper? And when I came in and bid on this job, I actually cut my price almost in half because I knew they were starting up a new effort. And then the word comes back, well, they're wondering if you can do it any cheaper. And I'm like, no, I can't. And all of that to say, I still at my age, I'm running into having to do things like I'm a rookie in my first 2 years of doing what I do in order to gain any momentum financially at all, just to pay the bills. And so you say, why am I not famous? I think there's a lot of guys that were amazing artists in life, a lot of women, a lot of men that never experienced it in their lifetimes. And it sounds like I'm touting myself pretty highly there. I think I'm good at what I do, and I bring a lot of know-how and knowledge to the table. Does it keep my family afloat? Barely. And so you look at that and you say, what's life supposed to be at this age? I've had several friends who have died. I have several friends also my age and a little younger who have retired on millions because they started a good company and they ran a small business for years and they've retired. So Professor Bauer says, if you think hiring a professional or someone with experience is expensive, try hiring an amateur. Yeah, you'll do it over 10 times. You know what I get from a lot of clients? I get there's this phrase we came up with in advertising in the art department, creative. There's never time to do it right, but there's always time to do it twice. And that's what we found with a lot of clients. Rush, 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 money, money, money. Never time to do it right. We got to have this now, but there's always time to change it 8 times for them. It's like, look, you're hiring me for my know-how, but then you want to micromanage the process of creative. Do I micromanage your business and tell you how to make your money and how to create the widget that you've created and sell it? No, I'm your ad guy. You're hiring me because you trust my experience. And but that's not the way it ever works out. You've always got, somebody who wants to, well, can you make the glow in that letter a little less bright and maybe a little less yellow? And because I don't like green, let's not do it in green. And let's not, it's like, you're hiring me for a reason. You're hiring me for my expertise. I'm showing you what's going to work. And so many times you get hired to do something because it's what that person prefers to see, not what actually works better. And sometimes the two mesh well. Sometimes they don't. I'm not speaking of anybody specifically. If any of my
but that's usually
clients are
the
listening,
plight of the artist, or especially things like portraiture. That I don't look like that.
Right, right. That's what I look like. My ears look like that.
But I mean, the path that you've chosen, as a semi-starving artist. I mean, if you look at the greats, Van Gogh and all of them, majority of them didn't get to enjoy, the fruits of their labor. It was always after they've died, right? And after they died, that they became famous.
Yeah.
Many of them even died, penniless or, from disease or whatnot. So, I mean, it's part and parcel with the path that you've chosen.
Right. And by the way, Travis Thorpe, you are right. Every time you sell yourself cheaper, you set the expectation lower. That's right. That's very right. But then there are times where you're like, my power is going to get shut off in a week if I don't pay it. I got to take that job and do it at that cheap price. And you hope to God that your client never knows that about you, because they'll always get you for cheap. Sometimes you have to relent and go, I got to do that for cheap because I need the money coming in the door. And overall, though, You know, I've gotten to a place where people think my prices sometimes are really high. My prices are abysmally low. Um, just for an example of something, and we're talking about not my job experience so much as I'm talking about the way things work in the world out there, it seems, is that for me to say, uh, here, I'll just grab something that's sitting on my desk. It's just sitting in the file over there. That illustration, okay, that's pen and ink. And so pen and ink, and I colorized this in particular for the book in Photoshop. I put the color in. So to sit and draw this piece, you get somebody who hires you to do this. They're hiring you because you are expert at what you do. And that's why they're hiring you. You can go on Fiverr and get somebody to plagiarize a piece like this or crack out a piece like this for a few bucks. You can hire an artist in the United States like me, where this is going to cost you, let's say you had me do this for you. This would cost you, my standard price to do something like this, about $650. To ink this, I have to pencil it, ink it, color it. 650 bucks. Which, you know what, is dirt cheap. Because there's artists out there that won't touch this for under $3,000. You go to an ad agency, you're going to pay even more for their artists to do it for you. When we do whole package design and stuff like that, you know, that stuff, package design, that would be, here, I'll just grab what's sitting on my desk here. Here's package design. Logo with the Captain Morgan. You design the label and put it on there. You may design even the kind of bottle it's going in. You have to design that label. And you design the whole package. You design the little box it goes in. Somebody has to design that, engineer the box, or at least lay it out so it works in engineered when they make the box and cut it out, fold it all together. And so you do package design like that, corporate design, package design. I would do something like that, probably, or even closer to home. Coffee bags. I was designing some coffee bags that had some original illustration on them, plus design like that, all the kind of design. And it gets printed on a coffee bag. And then you do the advertising, the ad slicks that go with it, or the banner ads that go online, or the whatever, all that kind of package design. This is package design. When we did these cards, that's a package. Somebody's got to design that stuff. So when you design that as an artist, a designer, you have a price for that. My price might be to do package, say for the bottle of Captain Morgan and all the packaging, might be at my current rates under $1,000. You go to an ad agency to do that, you're going to pay $23,000 for that. So why doesn't an artist who's got the talent to do that make enough to get by? And why is it that, I know the why to this, somebody who owns a company or is in charge of that with a company, look for the cheapest person to do it, because they're trying to save their company money. But they may not in the long run, because the ad design might be shitty. I've run into a lot with publishing. Independent authors who don't have a lot of money to work with, they want to find an illustrator and a designer for their book. And I'll come in, I'll go, hey, these are some of my illustrations for a book. And I show them the colors and stuff. And then I quote my price. You know, I do $650 per illustration times you need 12 illustrations, plus a cover illustration, plus the whole interior of the book designed and laid out so that it works. Many times I come into people and I'll go, I'll do that because you're doing 12 of them. I won't charge you $650. I'll charge you $400 bucks a piece for those illustrations. And we'll throw in the design of the book, because that's real easy stuff. It's just laying it all out. Your bottom line price is going to be, you know, basically 400 times 12 plus another couple $100. you go somewhere else. You go to somebody who's represented by an agent, an artist. You go to a well-known artist, you're going to pay 5 times that amount. And if you don't have the money for it, they'll say, okay, well, thanks for checking. They'll move on to the next. So you work for a smaller amount of money to get the project in, and you hope that that builds your reputation more. Next time I can charge more. Well, you can't in that pool. Most of those people that are writing those kinds of books don't have that kind of money. So all of that to say, when we're talking about the way things work, here, hold on. I got to see what Travis just said here. It's pertinent, I'm sure. I know you want the money, but hey, if you do this for us, think of the exposure you'll get. And he puts jerking motion, if you all know what that means. Yeah, exactly. I've had more people approach me and say, I can't pay you anything, but I can give you exposure. And I say, you know what? Exposure or a mention on your website doesn't pay my mortgage. So I do this for work. How would you feel if you went to work every day and at the end of your first 2 weeks, the boss says, I can't pay you a paycheck, but I can give you exposure. You'd be like, sayonara. No, I don't think so.
That's basically turning them into an intern.
Yes. Yes.
But do you think with the rise of AI that, the age of artists, it's kind of in its death knell now?
I think it's the same kind of thing. I use AI every now and then.
Yeah.
I use it for projects where I don't have a budget to do anything original. I'll go in and I'll do AI. I go and I do stuff for Andy Dabbs, good friend, good client of mine, on his website. And he's got DuluthClothing.com. You can still see that. That's coming down very soon, and it's going to be incorporated into his other site. But if you go to DuluthClothing.com, take a look at his shop there. And what you'll see graphics that are very cool. We wanted to have this look to the website. And you'll see a big graphic of snow on the rocks and the lake and a lighthouse and a sunset. But I put it into AI. I didn't have time to. Andy pays me well, but I didn't have enough to sit down and do full color paintings for his website. So I go into AI. And in the criterion AI, I want it to look like, mid-century travel advertising type of look and minimalist type of style, and that's what I got out of it. And so I use those kind of graphics all throughout his site. And so I will use AI when I need something quick and dirty and done. And there's not a budget in there to create it. I don't use AI to do this kind of stuff. AI can't do this. Maybe it can to a certain extent. But if let's say you're doing a book and it's got all these characters, or it's got a character, you're not going to get a consistent look throughout the book for one character. And so this is all hand done. This is the same character in the hat when he's younger. They're out drinking in college, having beers, stuff like that. This is him when he becomes an intern. And this is really simplified because I did the rest of that in digital in Photoshop. I imported this in and did all the color work in Photoshop. Same for all of these. So, yeah, AI, it's okay for some things. It's like using clip art, as far as I'm concerned. I don't use a lot of clip art, but I do when I don't have a budget to create something original. So somebody wants a logo, I have a set price for a logo. It's about the same as an illustration. I charge $650 for a logo. I end up doing an awful lot of logos for $250 because people don't have the budget. And things cost. Then people ask me, why aren't you a millionaire? People can't afford it. And the people that can afford to use those guys that are high buck, how do you get to that level? Is that echelon of being an artist. I don't do a lot of paintings on canvas. So I don't have a gallery showing and stuff like that. So,
and that's a problem a lot of people, especially in this country, Americans have. It's they're forced to live hand to mouth.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the ability to generate wealth and
Right.
build wealth.
Right.
So, I mean, which basically is the American dream, right? To live comfortably. But the whole idea of generating, not even one lifetime, generational wealth. I mean, it takes decades, if not years, and stuff.
Yeah.
But and you always have to find a balance, because like for someone like me, and for me to generate something, then I have to be really strict with myself. I mean, don't eat out too much, don't limit on things of that, entertainment and stuff. I mean, people say you live such a deprived life, who are you saving it for? It's like
Right.
it's like, well, I mean, that way I have, if in case, God forbid, I have a traumatic event, I have it when I need it. So, I mean, it's
Right.
being responsibility. It's having responsibility.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have to have fun once in a while, but it, again, like with everything else, it's balancing it out. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it
1 second.
has
I
to
got a
be, yeah.
client right now texting me. Are you busy this morning? I'm going to tell him I'll call at 11. So, and he knows I have a show. He just wasn't thinking about my show this morning. So,
Something that they need to start reteaching in school. I mean, they should add fiscal responsibility back in school. I mean, because when I was in school way back when, they made sure we knew how to balance a checkbook, right?
yeah, yeah. I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook at when I was in high school.
Right.
But this is a good illustrated point. This is a good client of mine. Pays me decently. Probably not what I'd like to get paid for what I do, but he pays me well. And he's one that says to me, "Hey, we need to find ways to get you making more money for what you do." He's a fantastic entrepreneur and businessman, and he does. He takes good care of me, but he's also needs things when he needs them, or when he knows he believes he needs them, or has something that's pressing him to get it done. And so he calls me on Sunday mornings. It's like, "Hey, are you working on that thing today?" "Yeah, I'm gonna." And I don't say that for any negative reason. Just that's the way this stuff works. That's advertising, the world of advertising and marketing and all that. That's the way it always works. People need it when they need it. And if you miss out, there are some people out there, by the way, you'll get that project. And if you have anything that says, "Oh, that's going to have to wait 2 days before I can hit that," they'll find somebody else. Or if you're not the right price, they'll find somebody to do it cheaper. What's nice about my friend, he doesn't look for somebody to do it cheaper, which is nice. He doesn't care about that because he takes care of me. But sometimes he's got deadlines that he wants to meet, his personal deadlines, and they don't always match with creative deadlines. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
But I mean, it all comes down to alignment of intention.
By the way, this is him right here. Not me. I use Scotty. No, Andy, that was all. Like I was just saying, if you caught it, Andy takes really good care of me. Uh, um, so, but and I love doing work for him. I got to tell you, Andy represents a chunk of my income, a big chunk of my income, and I got to talk nice about him now because he's in the chat room. No, I don't. I talk about Andy the way I always talk about Andy. You've heard me talk about Andy. He's the one I wrote the book for, his memoirs, and he's rewriting it now in his own words. And we did. He had Lemon Squad. I talked about that company. I've told you all about his business that he started. And he's a guy that made his millions off of his ideas. That's what he does. And um, he's sometimes pushy, but his pushiness is good pushiness. He's got his ideas of when he needs, I got to get this thing. And he's got a million things in his mind going all the time. So, and he takes care of me. And he's one that says, we got to find ways to get you promoted better and get you in, and so we're going to be working on that stuff too. So, it's called anxiety. There you go. I wasn't going to bring that up so much, but Andy said it's his anxiety. He told me the other day when he called me, I think it was in the evening he called, and he said, he was almost apologetic about it. He said, sometimes I think about this stuff and I get really pushy because I lay there in bed at night with my anxiety, and he struggles. That's a lot of what he does. He struggles with anxiety. And he said, my anxiety has me thinking about my website and why it's not done and why we're not glowing yet and what we can do and what we can change. And is this right? Is that right? He says it plagues him, and he's got to put it out of he's got to do his things to put that out of his mind as an active, so his anxiety is not the go-to. And
So that's also in part with the business mindset, because
right,
it's the same thing that, yes, you have people in place and they're supposed to be doing something, but are they doing it? And are we
right,
all unified in a common goal? So, and then that boils down to communication, and
hmm,
you have to talk to each other on what's feasible, what's not feasible, and then, to reduce anxiety. But, and then of course, any good business person, you have to keep an eye on things. You can't just
yeah,
let it go. I mean, you can't let it go 100% to somebody and expect that it's going to get done.
right.
Basically, I mean, I've learned that. I mean,
By the way, I have posted. It's not quite finished. This is the website I've been working on for Andy. It's had a couple of different incarnations, and we've had the website done and moving it to a different platform now. And there's been a lot of rebuild and a lot of tweaking and stuff. I don't think Andy will mind if I put it up here. Go over to his website, it's antondabs.com, and check out his blog. Uh, check out his blog because he's doing an awful lot of writing about his anxiety. Do you remember? I'm only bringing this up. We're not promoting this book so much anymore because, as a matter of fact, we've taken it down. This was the book where last summer I was writing this book for Andy, with Andy, and it was his memoirs. And he looked at that and he said, this is the way Andy works. And he says, you know what? I want to write that. He says, because it's not so much in my words. He says, not necessarily the way I'd always say anything. He says, and he asked me, he said, are you going to have any problem with that? I said, no, man, you paid me to write this and you want to rewrite it in your own words? Do it. That's your book. But this is the guy, he wrote this book on his memoirs, but it was a book on anxiety, dealing with anxiety. And he's still working on that now. And his new version of that. You could call it his edition of it. And his website, too, if you go to antondabs.com. Is it Anton Dabs? Yeah, it's antondabs.com. It looks like Anton. It's pronounced Antone. Dabs.com. Go over there. Join his blog because he writes these blogs on anxiety and business and entrepreneurialism and so on. I didn't mean to turn the show into a big ad for Andy, but this is Andy's stuff. This is what he does. And I think that you'll really enjoy what he does. And I designed a bunch of shirts for him and garments for him, designs for t-shirts and all that. You'll see that at the website. If you go over to antondabs.com, let's see which version is up here. Is this the new? I think this is the new version that's on here because we moved platforms. Yeah, if you start scrolling down the page, there's a little portrait I did of Andy that's on the page. I did that in Photoshop. And you scroll down, and the next section is his blogs section. You can click on the link to see all my blogs. You can see what he writes about. You scroll down to the bottom of the page, and let's see. I got to see if this is the new page or not. This is still the old one. I'm sorry. This is because it's coming up with things not in the same order I left them. on the redesign. So the redesign is going to look a lot like this. But you go over here, you can check out his blog, you can do his stuff and all that. And I look at it over in the site where I build it, where it's all updated. So there you go. That's Andy. And Andy takes, like I said before, so I don't want Andy to get the wrong idea. But Andy takes care of me. But what we were talking about, and it segued out of other things, was the things you do in life that you do to get by because you have to. And that all came off of Travis's comment, which was what was it that Travis said here? And this will kind of ground us and bring us back a little bit to what we were talking about. Where did you say that, Travis? You said, I know you want the money, but hey, if you do this for us, think of the exposure you'll get and the jerking motion. Yeah, that's what many people in my position do. Andy got that in his business when he finally started his own and said, I don't want to work for other people anymore. I want to be the people that people work for. And so that's where Andy's very good at what he does. And I enjoy what he does. And I enjoy working for him, always have. And he's a good friend. So he lives up, they moved up to Lake Superior, up on the North Shore, slightly north end of Duluth, Minnesota, right up on the Lake Superior. Gorgeous up there. And so anyway, what was the real point we were trying to make with all of this? Because Jason brought something up. Oh no, that was on something slightly different. You and I were talking, Sarah, just and this all segued out of death. And
all good things will eventually come to an end. All bad things will come to an end.
And it's trying to do what you can do to get there and enjoy it while you're doing it. I've gotten into the habit of saying, yeah, I'm going to build a house one of these days. I'm going to build our dream house, the kind of house we want to build on the land we want to do things. And then you say, I started adding the phrase at the end, hopefully I won't be too old to enjoy it by the time I get there, you know? And Rainey's is 20 years younger than me, so she'll have 20 more years than I do to enjoy things. But that's when it gets back to that unexpected thing of death, with all the death of my friends around me and the tragedy that goes on in the lives of friends around me. How close are we to tragedy? How close are we to the ending of life?
That's always very intimate. But the thing with traumatic events is it forces you to reprioritize, and then you have to also reevaluate the difference between just surviving and then living, because
exactly
the two are not the same.
Yeah.
Some people are just trying to get through to the next day, but they're for the living quality of of higher self with the pleasure, enjoyment, all this stuff. It seems like it's the icing on the cake, but both are necessary.
Yes.
Because we were given this life to enjoy. Even if you look at the things like in the Bible, how many times in the Bible does it tell you to rejoice or, have a positive thing, have a positive, take a positive view on life. So, so we are meant to enjoy this life if you believe in the Bible. So.
Exactly. There it is. Professor Bauer, you're here.
Yeah, and what I'm doing up at this hour and dialed into the show is one of those unsolved mysteries.
It's only it's 9:37 in Mountain Time. Come on. You're not up early? You're not an old man waking up early like the rest of us old guys?
No,
he has better stamina than I do.
Yeah, I'm at the stage, not the age.
Yeah.
Where the cycles of life are, they're fluid. They're constantly in motion and changing.
Yeah.
And I have found in particular over the last couple of years, it's really gotten into focus where late at night when there's nobody around, there's no noises going on, and there's no distractions, the distractions aren't as easily, get in the way because, it's the flood of the day. I find that I'm spending a lot more time in the wee hours when there's nobody else doing anything.
Yeah.
And it's much more productive for me.
I used to be like that, like when Rainey will take the kids and they'll be gone for a few days, which is rarity. It happens once a year, maybe. She'll go up to the cabin with the 3 kids and go to her mom's cabin, and I'll have 3 or 4 days by myself, and I'm like, yes, this is glorious. And I stay up late and I do stuff. Right now, Professor, all you need 3 teenage kids.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that, when you're talking about being a starving artist and so forth, I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact of your procreation activities.
Yeah,
because we all know
sorry, but I make no apologies for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to, but it is a variable in the equation.
I will say, men and women, both of you, I'm going to say to you, when you, and this is all visceral and maybe it's a little tongue in cheek, but that's my wife's fault. My wife didn't look the way she did and was as wildly beautiful and fun and all of that as she was.
So you're blaming the victim.
I'm blaming the victim, yes. When she traipsed around without any clothes on in front of me, it wasn't my fault. I went mindless and numb. No, and I mean that only in a good way. It's supposed to be praised for my beautiful wife. And of course,
this is the part where Professor Bauer tries to get you into blockchain now.
Yes.
I have worn out more people with that over the last 5 years, and it's fascinating because one of the things that one of the important aspects from my perspective of gauging the grasp you have on reality is to make predictions.
Yes.
Because when you make predictions, it typically comes from one of 2 spaces. Either you've got some kind of clairvoyance, which is extremely natural and becoming more and more prevalent, or you've done the analytical work and you are looking at doing basically trends analysis, and you see what's going on at any given time in any given place, and then you analyze it and you go, well, that's kind of heading in this direction, so I think that may be where it's going to end up, and you put percentages and statistics and modeling and all that stuff on it. But at the end of the day, we all do that anyway, because that's how we think. That's how our mind functions. We're never in the now. We're always in the next, as I've mentioned many times. But as a part of that, going back to the whole concept and issue of having skills and talent, and how those skills and talents are, what are their trends, and when you analyze that, and you were talking about the art, and I think you mentioned voiceover and the impact of this whole AI evolution on skills like that. Well, I'm not a graphic artist, but I'm a voiceover artist.
Yes.
And so
so you've experienced the same thing.
There's a direct impact on this. And I think the biggest thing that's fueling it, well, there's a couple of main things. One is just the novelty of this thing called AI, which is, I'm going to tell everybody right here and now, it's complete bullshit. Yeah. And I can explain it in very simple details about why it's not this this magical, mythical new tool that everybody's getting all hyped and fussed and mussed about, because it's nothing more than a mechanistic model of data interrogation and assemblage. That's all it is. And we've had this thing of AI around for a long time, because really what they are expert systems. And if you look at your email client, your word processor, your PowerPoint, your Adobe Photoshop, all of those are expert systems that are designed to do a specific task extremely well. And that's all they do. Well, the AI that's out there now is the same thing. In fact, we've had AI in the form of Siri and Alexa.
Yes.
All of these search engines, that's all they are. It's not this
Yeah.
incredibly dire thing. Now, when it comes to creative things like doing art and or music and even VO, these tools enable the assemblage of prior work. Nothing is original
That is true.
because it can't be original because it's non-organic. Consciousness requires organic material. Anything that we look at that has any semblance of the definition of life is organic. We don't make it. Nature, it comes out of nature, just like we do. So you can't take intellect, which is not just knowledge of information, but it's all the sensory components that we have in our biological meat suit. You can't put emotions into code. You can't put insight into code. You can't put curiosity and imagination into code. Those are components of an
So
organic.
you're saying an android could never become sentient?
No.
Oh,
You think about what's
contradicting Star Trek right now.
Well,
I'm having trouble with this.
Well, the problem is the sensory capacity. We don't in the future, could we have something that mimics thought or mimics some kind of insight through analysis? Because insight is something that you know about, that you're adding into or adding to whatever the subject is. And right now, our technology doesn't have the sensory capabilities, and I'm in this space. I'm building blockchain and AI systems myself. So I'm deep into understanding how they work so I can build them and figure out what not only their limitations are, but what you can actually do with them. But the sensory capacity of the biological meat suit, we don't have that sensing capability in machines yet. When you look at Star Trek, and it's quite fascinating if you think about it.
Yes.
All of the computer systems have zero emotion.
Yep.
They are factual based. They don't have any humor unless you're thinking about Data and his emotion chip. In fact, one of the things that Musk has done with his Grok, his X.AI, and what he's calling Grok, is he's introduced humor into this in the prompt scripting, which is basically sarcasm. And the people that I haven't used it myself, but there's several people I follow that have been deep into it, and they say after about the third or fourth sarcastic response, people start turning that function off because it's annoying as hell.
It can be.
And so what I'm seeing, for example, in the voiceover world, and this goes back to the point I was trying to get to, what I think is fueling this artistic bombardment of this technology into us creatives. When I look at VO, I'm on Fiverr and several other platforms. Got my own website with my stuff, and so I've got my work out there. Nobody can take or copy that work because it's me. AI can listen to it. It can get some of the mannerisms and some of the usage of words and tonality. It can actually get pretty close to my voice, but it's never going to replicate me because as we all are, we are all one in many. We are individuals. So that artistic side is something that comes out of the expression of our biological manifestation in conjunction with our materium and our ethereum. You knew I was going to get it in there, sir.
There it is.
So, but one of the things I think is fueling a lot of this is the complete lack and appreciation of good work by the generations that are now using this shit. Mm-hmm. These people can't even start a push mower, let alone render some objective opinion on something that is of quality. They don't understand quality. They don't understand something that's been done very well, or the effort that has, as you were talking about, Scotty, the effort that's gone into it. If you listen to any of this K-pop, or even there's I can't think of the name of the program, but there's an AI music generator out there. And it is rich. It's got all these different genres, and you can pick these samples and you can speed them up, slow them down, replace different instruments, you change the melody. It all sounds like it came out of a computer's port.
It sounds canned. Yeah.
It's terrible. There's no emotive quality to it. There's no, and when you think about art, again, whether it's graphic or music, which is another field that I'm in that's being impacted by this stuff, the things that people really resonate with are the things that they feel viscerally, that they feel in their bones, they feel in their minds, because it was created by somebody that created it from their bones and from their minds. It was a unique expression of the human experience. You're not going to get that out of a machine. It's just not going to happen. Not in our life.
And it can get closer. Like, well, what's all this stuff with writing now? They were touting that you could write, if you get all your stuff that you've written and you put it into, you let AI scan. I don't know how it works. They scan all your work, or they look at your work, and it's able to write a novel in your voice and the way you would write. Now, all that's doing, it's mimicking things it's seen you do before. Now, I've never tried it. I don't think I'd ever want to try it. I thought, out of curiosity, what would it look like if I said, write an essay about X, Y, or Z using my voice? What would that end up looking like? Would I read it and go, it really does sound like me? Or would I go, it doesn't sound like me at all? So it mimics what's there, but does it actually?
No, it doesn't create. There's no novelty. There's no new. It looks like JP is apparently in the wings, according to the chat there.
Oh, let me look. I don't have the window open. Here we go.
But here's
there he is.
Here's the construct of the way that this stuff works, and it's very, very simple. All AI is pattern recognition.
Yes.
So there's two components to it.
So if you take somebody who can't write worth a shit, I mean, they wouldn't be able to spell a word right, or they don't know what syntax is, and they have no idea how to tell a story, and you have AI use their style to try to write something, it's going to be a clunky piece of crap.
Well, that's the point. Here's the way it works. You have a scripting language, which the easiest way to think about it is if you load up Google and you've got the box and you say, I want to know something about this. That's your scripting language. And what they've done with it, they've taken it from Alexa and Siri and Google and Bing and Tusk and all these other different search engines, and they've applied a whole bunch more to it. They've made it more robust as far as being able to take a string of words that someone has put in there and then interpret that string with the keywords and then take and interrogate a database.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not in the database, it's not going to find it. So you were talking about, well, if they, I put all my books in and it came back with something that was that resembled my writing.
It would. People might look at that. There might be people that would read that and go, "Oh, this is Scotty Roberts' work."
Well, and that's because of
like everything else I've already written.
That's because of the degradation of the importance of understanding creativity and quality, just quality in general.
Right.
So, you're talking about the AI creating the writing and singing and everything, music, etc., artwork. Like, here's one of the things, though. It's like any major, system, power, force, whatever. You can use it for good, you can use it for evil, and it's all in how you use it. And if you're being honest with it, if there's a level of integrity to the use, if you're trying to rip off.
Of course, if the ring were to come to me, I would.
That's also what led to the actors and writers strike that happened this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right. But there's some things where it's like, it's rather harmless, but people get up in arms about it. But some of the things that are going on out there with AI are awesome. Lord knows I would love to be able to use something like ChatGPT in my own job, because it would make writing annual histories infinitely more easy for me.
Is that
Well, I
what?
mean, to use the example that you were saying earlier, about having Morgan, they have like a Morgan Freeman AI who can was
Oh, yeah.
narrating sections of the Bible. So
Right. Yeah. No,
I'd love to hear
proves
Morgan
they're not,
Freeman and
and in the beginning,
and in the beginning there was God, and then you'd have why am I going blank on his name?
Sam Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson is who you
Samuel L.
need.
Jackson coming in going,
Don't eat that apple,
"Well,
mother.
I told you to wipe them out." And, so yeah, you could. That would be an interesting Bible to listen.
It'd be a hilarious Bible to listen to.
Well, Samuel Jackson.
I would probably pay more attention to it.
Samuel Jackson's "Go the Fuck to Sleep" book is just.
Oh my God!
That
I was
was
just going to
brilliant.
That's
Go
brilliant.
the fuck to sleep.
Will you please go the fuck to sleep?
But one of the greatest uses of AI
Is in your microphone control.
is showing you how to
the
set
world
it up.
for great and beautiful things is the guy on YouTube and Instagrams whose account's name is There I Ruined It. And if you want to be really, really entertained, look up There I Ruined It. And it's Hank Williams Sr. does Straight Outta Compton.
Nice.
Because the guy uses AI, to extract the voices and everything, and then being able to layer and overdub, and apply it to lyrics. And it just makes me happy hearing the stuff that he does most of the time, which really is probably a good thing for everyone.
It's got like I just did a search on him on Instagram. There I Ruined It. Boomhauer, Rap God.
Yes. Yeah, Eminem's Rap God. He does it. It's amazing.
I can see it already.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I think don't get I don't want to get the wrong impression, or people get the wrong impression that I'm poo-pooing AI. I'm pointing out the flaws in the current implementation and the ways in which it's not only being used, but being abused. And there's way too much emphasis on this magical, mythical new tool that's going to eventually become an sentient, independent thinking creature of a robot that's going to come and take us all. Is that a possibility? Well, it depends on who's building it and what they're doing and what their intent is. But the real application, and one of the reasons that I was surprised I'm up this early, is I had a very long conversation with a friend of mine last night who's a pilot for Southwest, and his son just turned 20, and he was talking about, he knows about my AI work and what I've been trying to put together. And he was talking about the struggles that his son was having with college and with some particular subject matter. And he's on the spectrum in some level or shape or form, and he's extremely intelligent, the kid, but he's having a hard time staying on task, which is one of the aspects of the various spectrum levels. And he was asking me if there was any way that you could apply something like AI to help him learn. And as he was going through all of the different levels of struggle that the kid was going through, it was very clear to me that what he's having is a process problem, and which is staying on task, having a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and going through that. And where I think something like an AI, or actually what I'm calling an achievement assistant, is something that you would be able to talk to on your smart device, given instructions that, hey, I want to achieve this, and it would come back and interrogate you on what are the tasks, how much monitoring do you and support do you want me to help you with, and I will lay out those things and help keep you on task to achieve whatever it is that you're looking for. and you do it, you know, for guys, you do it in some sexy Wendy kind of voice, you know, with some accent. For women, you've got Momoa, or maybe even Samuel Jackson, who's your voice. But the interaction of being able to have that kind of assistance. In fact, I don't call artificial intelligence artificial. I've changed the term and call it assisted intelligence, because there's nothing artificial about it. This is artificial intelligence and machine learning are just perfect examples of the laziness and ineptness of geezer geeks like myself being able to clearly put some kind of marketing or creative term to whatever it is they're working on. And that's been around since I've been in tech for over 40 years.
Just don't let the singularity happen. All right.
Singularity is not going to happen. That's not, in spite of Kurzweil's greatest efforts, that's not going to, I don't see that happening, because it's a merge of, now transhumanism is a whole nother thing, because we actually are manufactured, engineered beings here on this planet from some other entity, our cosmic cousins, the space aliens. So we've already been transhumaned to be who we are. But the ability, you can look at something like what Musk is doing with Neuralink, and you can say, well, there's some evil shit going on there. Yeah, but if you can put a chip in somebody's head and it cures or eliminates the problem of Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that, would you be more kind towards the idea of having that chip implanted?
Right.
The whole fear mongering about, who's going to do it, who's in charge of it, what's their intent, and all that kind of crap is very important. But the real issue is, can you apply technology to improve somebody's life? Look at amputees and prosthetics, all of the different things that we do now, which essentially are transhumanism. Yeah. We are adding technology to the biological, right? And so it can be extremely powerful, just like this whole AI thing. Can it write a book as well as Scotty? It'll get you a long way there, but it's never going to finish it.
Right.
In fact, you take anything that you throw into a chat bot, regardless of the version, you're going to have very questionable results. In fact, most of the stuff people don't realize that there's the prompt scripting. And in that prompt scripting, there's something called a super prompt. What's a super prompt? Well, a super prompt is where you ask some real specific, detailed stuff in order to get the answer that you're looking for. And
I thought it was a band from the 70s.
Yeah, I did too. When I first heard it, I was like, did I miss them? Was I just out during that
Sound
time?
like a budget Supertramp? What's going on with this? I don't.
Right. But there's a guy who's one of these scientist, PhD type folks, and he wrote a 4-page super prompt to get the answer he was looking for. And within that prompt, he had to spell out who he was, what his experience was, who his influences were, whose work he appreciated, all these different parameters. And then the last statement in the prompt was, and don't give up. Because these chatbots will give up. In fact, if you take one of these things and you put a prompt in and say, how do I make a lemon meringue pie? Okay. And you put that in for that day. And then you go back the next day and you say, how do I make a lemon meringue pie with turbinado instead of sugar? Well, it's going to come back with a completely different answer, and it's not going to remember that you already asked it that question. There is no memory type storage in these things. Yeah. So it's not this monster that people think it is. It's way overhyped for its capability in the arts world in particular. But the real promise is the ability to gather and ascertain knowledge.
AI can't draw hands.
Right? It can't do math.
I've seen that.
AI
like
can't
polydactyl.
do math.
Everyone is polydactyl.
Fingers or, non-opposable thumbs. You can't do hands. Now, if it copies from original work somewhere and combines them all, I don't understand why it has that flaw.
Well, because of that's what it was programmed that way. And that's the other thing that people don't realize. These prompt scripts are programmed by somebody. So whatever biases, preferences, peccadillos, and otherwise that somebody has who wrote the program, that's what you're going to get. If you go to Chat GPT 3 or 4 right now and you say, give me Biden's greatest hits, it'll give you 5-6 pages of bullshit. Then you turn around and you say, give me Trump's greatest hits. And it'll come back and say, we're sorry, we can't interrogate such a controversial subject or individual. And you go, well, how the fuck did you get that? Somebody programmed that in. That was a limitation that was placed purposely in that prompt script. So and this is another reason why you see so many different versions of AI. I mean, my God, you've got them now to where, fortunately, and this will evolve to, in fact, we're already seeing it with Microsoft's Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and all of that. They've come out with their own AI called Copilot.
Yes.
And this, to me, is a real positive and perfect example of an implementation of AI. Well, I've been using Office since it came out. Before it was called Office, I was using Outlook and Excel and PowerPoint. And then they grouped it all into this nice little family of products because it's all made by the same company, which is great. Google tried to do this several years ago, and they fell flat on their ass with trying to implement something similar. They just couldn't do it. But what Copilot does is that, so I'm working on my AI and blockchain systems. I've got Word documents, I've got PowerPoints, I've got videos, I've got audio, all kinds of stuff. Well, Copilot, I can go in and say, show me everything that I've done on my system called Assisted Intelligence. And it will go and gather all those parts and present them to me. And then I can tell it to organize it in some kind of logical flow process, and it will do that. Now I have, instead of me trying to figure out what folder did I put that PowerPoint in, where's that Word document, where's that Excel spreadsheet, it does it for you. So that's the kind of data interrogation that I think AI has the most promise and potential right now. And it goes back to what I was saying about education. If you take, and I've actually got this in my model, if you take emergency services or specialty services like being able to fly an airplane, this is what Joe and I were talking about last night. All of the data that is required to learn how to fly a 737 is pure unpolluted data. It's in manuals. Yeah. It's in all of these tests, but it's not in a database. It's all in these disintermediated components of information. Well, if you applied AI, if you put that data into at least PDFs, and a lot of it is now, but there's still a lot of it that is just hard copy, and you put that all into a one place where the AI can go interrogate it, you can write the prompt script to not only create the tests and be able to assist the learning of that data and not worry about any bias that was put into it, because it's unpolluted. It's pure technical data that is required to get certified. So once you do that and you add it and you put it on a blockchain, you now have the certification that somebody has completed that course.
Taking care of everything for him. Yeah. Brother was taking, the medical power of attorney.
Oh, we may be picking up Sarah doing something else.
I think she's talking about power of attorney, which I stay away from that.
Yeah, really. Well, listen, guys, it's 11:06.
Why would you ever want to stay away from power of attorney there, Professor?
We're done. So
that means that you're
up at another time. This very cool discussion on AI. So I have to give a client a call and go see what my wife's going on. Hey, Cindy Knox, good to see you here. She says, it's strange that you guys are talking about AI, as I was watching a documentary last night about information, as we know, has led to AI. Sorry you got here at the last minute, Cindy, but we're about ready to go. She says, finally got you live at 1 minute to 11. We're off at 11, Cindy. So on Sunday mornings, 9 to 11. So that would be your time. I think it is 5 p.m. in the afternoon, your time in Great Britain. So we start about 3 p.m. your time on Sunday mornings. So good to have you, though. And Scott Allen, good to see you. Everybody who's here. Jason, good to see you while you're driving, brother. I'll catch you later. We'll see you tomorrow night. Later. And Professor, good to see you as well tomorrow night.
Thanks for giving me a reason to get up this morning.
You're welcome. All right. Love you
Have
too.
a good one.
See you later, brother. Sarah, I got to let you go. You might be talking. So if you don't hear this, I will talk to you later. We'll see you tomorrow. So everybody else, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this show. Remember, Sunday mornings is kind of an informal show where we just talk and rant, and it's kind of like the captain's cabin. Tomorrow, however, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, in theory, are the days that we air Intrepid Radio. So come on, and you can hear the show for the first hour, and then we morph into the captain's cabin, where it gets a little more informal, like what you've just experienced here with Sunday mornings. So thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you for your time. I love you all. Thanks for giving me your time and being part of it. And we will catch you tomorrow night. Again, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time is when we start, which if you're over in England, that would be 3 in the morning. So that's no good for you unless you're an all-nighter. But everybody else, you're according time zone. So thanks for being here today. We will see you again soon. Everyone, live long and prosper.